Good evening on what has been a bright, warm and sunny day. It is Tuesday the 21st of June. Yes, it is the summer solstice and I have a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to open. So let's have a look, see what's in here. Like out. Neatly. And what I have got in here is this, which is essentially the 40th anniversary classic version of Call of Cthulhu. Last year, 1981 to 2021, Call of Cthulhu was 40 years old, and this is the anniversary box set which Chaosium has released for to mark that anniversary. So, and this big box echoes the look and style of Call of Cthulhu as it originally appeared in 1980, 1981, and so on. All the way up through 3rd edition, before it went solely to a book. So let's find out what's inside. Just get the plastic to hoop and that's off. Open up and see what's in here. Eldritch horror. Quote from Lovecraft's fiction himself. Its rugose, dead-eyed rudiment of a head swayed drunkenly from side to side. Its forepaws were extended with talons spread wide, and its whole body was taut with murderous malignity. So that's a description, I believe, of a dimensional shambler. Also the back also says, enter the awesome universes of the Cthulhu mythos, those dread tales in which magic, science, arcane lore, and dark destinies irrevocably sear the lives of those for whom the bizarre and the curious have unseemly attraction. Specifically designed to portray the situations and denizens of the mythos, Call of Cthulhu uses a variant of the BRP system, adding characteristics for sanity and education. This special 40th anniversary limited edition box includes far more in the box than the original. So what's in this box? So Call of Cthulhu, which explains the characteristics. Let's just move him out of the way. Which explains the characteristic skills, occupations and resources available to investigators, the many being specific to the mythos: deep ones, flying polyps, dimensional shamblers, Shantax, Chthonians, Cthulhu, Yog-Sothoth, etc. 4 rules for magic and the use of the famous books, the Necronomicon, Divermius Mysteries, and Sprachlegion Colton, which have fascinated readers for decades. This book translates the mythos fiction into FRP, or fantasy role-playing terms. Scenarios are drawn in the style of the Cthulhu mythos, not directly from the specific stories. A source book for the 1920s, consisting of non-mythos data price lists, plans, maps, distances, thumbnail biographies, as well as a garden variety monsters upon which budding investigators can sharpen their skills. Now, beyond that, there are also character and monster silhouettes for play, a ruby-coloured anniversary dice set, and character sheets, and a world map of dig sites. Okay, in addition, Shadows of Yog-Sothoth, a global campaign to save mankind, the Asylum and Other Tales, 7 shorter, sinister scenarios set around the world and at sea. Cthulhu Companion, 4 scenarios as well as added rules and source material. Trial of Sasakiwa, a mini campaign of 2 scenarios plus a 3rd adventure. Call of Cthulhu Keeper Screen with useful tables and references during play, Fragment Sofia, additional gods, background and other material, as well as a scenario. So, quite a sturdy box. It's also available. You could also get the 2 essentially separately. So the core rules reprinted and tidied up
as contained in here, and also the other box as well, I believe. So let's find out. Just wait for his lordship to exit. So, as is traditional, I show you what's in the box and drop something out of the box. So, what we've got, the thing that I dropped out of the box is the Ruby dice set, including everything you need to play there, including a set of percentile dice. So yeah, and even a 20-sided dice for the hopefully very odd occasion where you have to roll that amount for sanity loss. What's in this box? Complete explanation of what's in the box. Pretty much going over what's in the core rulebook. And sets, we have a set of classic Call of Cthulhu character sheets. And then we have Call of Cthulhu Rulebook Classic Edition. Now this has appeared in various forms. I've done unboxings of the previous versions as well. So there's like a red, the original's kind of red with this image inserted in the middle before expanding out from. There's also a green one I think as well. And inside, all of this will probably all be quite familiar to a lot of players. A lot of keepers and players over the years will have seen this again and again. They will have honed their Call of Cthulhu gaming on these rules. And I mean, I have done unboxings on this in particular set of rules. Of course, we've got the character sheet or investigator sheet, as they call the famed Harvey Walters, the NPC who seemed to pop up all over the place and certainly was used in the core rules, with an explanation of the game system and things like the resistance table, of course, no longer present, a list of all the skills, so on. So this is a much cleaner and tidier version of the rules. Nothing's been done to change them, essentially, apart from to clean up their presentation. So this is, I don't think you remember that really these rules did not change very much over the course of 6 editions. So this is still as playable as it was in 1981, as it was in all the way up to 2010 and beyond. So yeah, we've got the silhouette illustrations of the Mythos creatures in the descriptions alongside. And let's see what else we've got. Magical spells, of course. A list of Mythos tomes. And then a guidance on how to play the game. And that's really quite a foundational essay for the game, because it really goes into how to run the game, how to play the game, and how it's different from what you expect in a normal role-playing campaign, which would at the time primarily would have consisted of Dungeons and Dragons. Lots of other role-playing games that were available at the time, but that was the kind of standard kind of style of play. And then we get into the ready to play scenarios, of course, starting off with the haunted house, basically the house of the late Walter Corbett, and probably one of the most played scenarios, I would have thought, outside of Dungeons and Dragons and things like B2 Keep on the Borderlands. But it's surprisingly how short this scenario is, because it's really just a page there, 2-page spread, and then the last page, 4 pages. That's it, and you probably get a couple of good gaming sessions out of that. It's followed up with a sort of another house focus scenario, the Brockford House again. That's not been reprinted again, but not surprising. It's not what you would call a particularly good scenario. Then we have a beginning scenario, a couple of items in the appendix, which sort of like are detailed outlines and so on, with guidance to libraries as well, and more. An interesting side note, so I mean, one thing is this is how the Elder Sign was depicted in the first edition of the book. So you do have these asides in here, adding commentary upon what is the first edition. There aren't very many, but there are. You look for them. There are a few. So let's see if I can find any more. I mean, none so far, and I'm thinking that primarily because that how little has changed between the editions over the years. So yeah, just looking through those. That seems to be the only one in here offhand. Then of course we've got a selection of the fiction as it was available back in 1981-82. Not quite so easily available. Not quite so difficult to pick all that up now. Then of course, Call of Cthulhu Designer's Notes, which are from Stanley Peterson in 1982, and we've got those from Stanley Peterson, also from the late Len Willis as well. And essentially, really, these also discuss essentially the problems faced when bringing this up to date for its new presentation. And the project involved as well. Excuse me. For you, and it ends with the Whale, the Witch, another scenario. A nice little addition, which involves ghouls and the witch cults in Salem. And I'm surprised it's not one that's been updated. And of course, on the back we have a more detailed list of the contents. And then below that, we have Sourcebook for the 1920s. This provides you essentially with things like the timeline, calendar for 1920, and then noted dig sites and biographies, thumbnail biographies of various famous personages from the period. And then things like list of notes of things like companies, crime, some history, how to handle bribery in the game, notes on cultists and naval skills. I mean, stuff that could come up. I've got the other list of occupations, so many of which have been folded into the main game itself now. An alternative system to previous experience. A lot more complex and probably not as comprehensive. More archaeological sites, railway coaches, and travel, transport, speeds, and so on, things like that. Prices in cash. So yeah, all this I've done unboxings of and discussed it. I've even reviewed a lot of this as well. Weapons notes and black market weapons. So yeah, this along with the list of ordinary, essentially mundane beasts and actual things like vampires and so on, all of which really help to ground the game. So to an extent in the 1920s, in the real world of the 1920s. So that's the Sourcebook for the 1920s. Below that we have the reprint of Shadow of the Yog-Sothoth, a global campaign for Save Mankind, and I'm going to do an unboxing of all of these. I'm just going to show you these as well. So this is the first campaign. really set the standard by which other campaigns are kind of measured, and very quickly the campaigns got better than this. This one is a little bit rough around its edges, but it did introduce the onion skin format of for the mysteries of the mythos and investigating cults, and doing and set the blueprint for global campaigns. But it's not. But it is imperfect. Most of the scenarios most of the campaigns that will follow will quickly improve upon it. And then we have the Asylum of the Tales, which is a mix of quality, sort of like interesting scenarios, good and the bad. Again, reflecting that this is the first anthology of scenarios, and not all of the writers are kind of really skilled at making that change from scenarios written in the vein of Dungeons and Dragons and that kind of style of play, and Lovecraftian investigative horror. And then Cthulhu Companion. This is one of the first supplements out for it, and this did a lot to change the game and added quite a lot of depth and yet more scenarios. Trailer Sourcebook had another short campaign. Again, I'll do an unboxing on this and probably follow all of these up with individual reviews. And we have Fragment Sofia, the second Cthulhu Companion. This doesn't actually follow the format of the original, for which I'll probably, when I do an proper unboxing, I'll pull it out and show you, because I had like a fold out insert. Less well received than the original companion, but full of interesting content nevertheless. You see below that we have a couple of some posters. So we have well, this is expanded. So what we have here is a map of the world with all the dig sites and so on it, and on the other side we have the reverse of map of Arkham. So that's probably quite possibly the largest map of Arkham done. There have been more interesting versions of this map done, but this is plain and simple and easy to read. Just fold that back. There we go. Smaller poster, but this shows all of the mythos creatures in comparisons to each other in terms of size. Although, so you know, we do actually have Mighty Cthulhu himself all the way there, and then Cthulhu there. I'm actually sure that Cthulhu is probably bigger because essentially it resides in a star. Below this, called Cthulhu Keeper's Screen, which comes out a bit odd because essentially it looks like that. Obviously, it's been that's essentially the format for when it was published, and sits you know, on the shelf at your local game store, but it's actually like that. So you've got all the various tables for that as well. We have character standees, a couple of sheets of those, monsters of the mythos, investigators as well. So there's those, and below that we have handouts. I separate all the handouts for the campaigns and scenarios in here. So this is you know, basically first handout for you know, the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight, which is the first scenario in Shadows of Yog-Sothoth as a campaign. So there's a thick sheaf of these. I mean, just to show you if I can just get them all out. Nope, they're not coming. There we go. So it's just, so yeah, all that. That's just handouts, and they're all a bit I would say they're all black and grayscale, not particularly interesting in of themselves, obviously for the content, but they're useful to have if you are running that material. So the box does come with a lot of content in here. So let's just put this back in here. And so obviously this is, if you've got this content, it's not necessarily, if you've got it first time round or you've collected it since. This is nice to have. Essentially it's a snapshot of Call of Cthulhu as the game was 1982, sort of like, and going forward for its first few years. If you've never seen a lot of this content before, I think you'd be interested to see just how good it is and how much the game has changed since, if you're looking at 7th edition. But this is a lovely sort of package, really, a mixture of sort of like of historical interest, and also it's still playable. You can still bring all this to the table, a bit of preparation, and you'll be playing some of the classic campaigns and scenarios once again, or possibly for the first time. So yes, that is the Call of Cthulhu fantasy role-playing in the worlds of H.P. Lovecraft 40th anniversary classic edition. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box and a book or game, or in this case basically this big package of Lovecraftian investigative role-playing, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. In the meantime, thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing the Nook. Bye for now.
You did get a magnificent arsehole shot at one point in there.
Yeah, nothing I can do about it. And it's